Hello and welcome to Spinster's Library. I'm Claudia and this is the 7th episode in my Bookish Favourites Advent calendar. And today I want to talk about 1984 by George Orwell. How do I talk about this book in under 5 minutes? Well, let me give it a try. 1984 is a classic dystopian novel published in 1949, but set, surprisingly, in the year 1984. This is possibly the most iconic dystopian society in literature. And it is a world in which every citizen is constantly watched and in which reality itself is carefully constructed by the ruling elite. 1984 is occasionally credited with actually predicting the future. And the way that technology is used to monitor our every move certainly does sound familiar. Except, of course, in 2019, everyone is fighting for my data and my personal information. Google, Facebook, the British government, Vladimir Putin. And yet here I am, happily putting out my videos on YouTube and cat pictures on Instagram and not really caring about who sees them. So if this is George Orwell's dystopia, then it's a lot more cheerful than he predicted in this book. But you get the idea. 1984 is a book that gets you thinking about your own life and your own society. And it's a classic that I truly believe is timeless and that will speak to people 50 years ago from now just as much as it did to me and to generations before me. But what we shouldn't forget is that this book doesn't just contain a fascinating and terrifying dystopian world, but it also has a very gripping and equally terrifying plot revolving around a main character who is uniquely unlikable but at the same time very relatable. And Winston Smith, the main character in 1984, is the perfect everyman sort of protagonist. He questions the politics of the party for which he works, incidentally, but it does take a lot more to actually make him involved in active investigation and eventually resistance. 1984 is not a book about heroes and villains the same way that a lot of contemporary dystopian fiction is built around. I think the general interpretation of it as a scary cautionary tale really does hold up. It is not uncommon to find various aspects of our own society, of what's in the news, of what we perceive in politics compared to 1984. And that was one of the aspects that surprised me a lot while I was reading it, just how recognizable this universe is. So I guess the question is, have we really learned the lessons that George Orwell wanted to impart upon us to avoid this totalitarian future that he predicted / warned us about in this book? Have we really learned those lessons? And on this cheerful Christmassy note, see you tomorrow, and thank you for watching. Bye.